starting. All right, Shalom Aleichem.
Alaikum salam.
And Arab Tov is in order. That's good afternoon in Hebrew. Here we are once again on another one of our live stream presentations. We're only a few hours away from sundown, Tuesday, September 21. And that is also going to be the sundown, the 9th day of the 7th month. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We are to observe our Day of Atonement. As we brought to your attention on yesterday, the Day of Atonement is very important for the children of Israel to obey and to keep that law. And we want to make an extreme emphasis to all of our people here in the United States of America, in particular the so-called African Americans that are being called African Americans, are truly though the lost tribe of the children of Israel, the fourth tribe known as Judah in English. We want to make an extreme emphasis to let them know that time is short, time is at hand, the kingdom of their own God is at hand. This world is coming to an end. It's coming to its end as prophesied that it would. After Cain was allowed to rule this planet for 6,000 years, we're now in the year 6,024 of our solar time. So for the record, this is now the 9th day of the 7th month of the year, solar year, 6,024. And as it was in the days of Noah, as you see on our monitor, we're going to be presenting this live stream presentation based on a PowerPoint presentation that's going to feature the name of the God of the Hebrews and how important it is for our people to know the name, the true name of the God of the Hebrews, who he is, where he is, and how he is going to be with them forever, everlasting. Providing, of course, that they call upon his name. And many of my people today, the majority of our people today, still does not know the name of their own God. So, as it was in the days of Noah, so is today. In the coming of the Son of Man be, you will need a King James Version of the Holy Bible, 1611 Authorized Edition of the King James Version of the Holy Bible. If you're going to join us in our live stream presentation today, more than just a study. Today is the presentation. And we're going to make this presentation based on the truth, of course, even the spirit of truth. And we're looking for a few that were chosen, of the many that are being called. We still have people who are out there in this land called the United States. All 50 states. My people are also in Alaska and Hawaii. That's outside of this land, this massive land of the 48 states of the United States. We have people in Hawaii and in Alaska. We also have people in the military in other countries on this planet. And I pray that they'll be able to get hold of this video. We're going to post this video on live stream, actually on YouTube, and pray that they'll be able to see this because their very souls are at stake and are bound to death if they do not take heed to what we're about to testify and present to the world today. So as I said a moment ago, you're going to need a King James Version Holy Bible. You may need the Strong's Concordance, whether we're going to be specifically tuned into this PowerPoint. We will assist those who do not have a Bible with the PowerPoint, where they can read it And they can take notes and confirm it for themselves after we log off and they go into their own studies, in the comfort of their own homes, or wherever they choose to be. So as this first slide says, and I quote again, as the days of Noah were, end quote, quote unquote. And that's according to Matthew chapter 24, verse 37. So before we turn to the next slide, read that please. Matthew chapter 24, verse 37. And then you're going to follow this proclamation. And there's a question to the bottom. Why die? Why die, Israel? Why die, Judah? If you adhere to this message, you will not die. So why die and live ye? So before we read Ezekiel, read Matthew 24, 37, please. You have it?
Okay. Matthew chapter 24, verse 37.
Nice and loud.
Quotes, but as the days of Noah were, so also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Mm-hmm. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
So what were they doing? Read verse 38. What were they doing?
For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage.
And that's exactly what they're doing today. Just as recorded, prophesied. This, by the way, is a diary that was made by the son of Yahweh, the Christ, that's known in the Bible. And he predicted that they would be doing exactly that today. And how else was it in the days of Noah? There were floods. And there are floods all over this planet today. And not only that, but Noah was going around for 120 years. He was telling the people and warning them that the world was going to end, that the world was going to be destroyed if they did not repent and turn back to their own God, the God of the Hebrews. And what did they do? They mocked Noah. They mocked him. They laughed. They scorned him. They ridiculed him. But Noah, being a just man and faithful to his God, our God, he continued on to do the will of his Father. He did not deter from what he was instructed to do. He built an ark along with his 3 sons. As they continued to mock him as he was building the ark on a mountain, they called him a fool. There's no water that can come and exceed this mountain, way above sea level. But they mocked him. Like they're mocking today. There's no such thing as Yahweh leaving us behind in this country. Yahweh's not going to leave us. He's going to come back for us. Who are you, Mika? Who are you to build an ark on a mountain that water cannot reach high above sea level? Who are you to tell us what to do? Who are you that we should listen to you? I'm Noah. I'm the spiritual Noah. I even have a beard like Noah. I do. Noah had a beard just like this. But Noah's skin complexion was just a little darker than my skin complexion. Why is that? Because my skin complexion is bronze colored. That's prophesied. That means I'm mixed with the sun and Judah. I'm mixed with my father and Judah. My father was light skin complexion, Judah dark skin, black. You mix that together, you get bronze. Right in the middle. So who am I? To the terrestrial minded people, I'm nobody, telling everybody about somebody that can save anybody. That's who I am. I say I am nobody that's going around telling everybody about somebody that can save anybody. All they have to do is become a body and listen and hear. So with that said, what else is verse 30? Read 38 again, verse 38.
Verse 38, quote, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage,
Hmm.
until the day that Noah entered into the ark,
And then what happened after that?
and knew not until the flood came
And then what?
and took them all away.
How many? Just a few of them?
All.
All. Took them all away. Now, they didn't take them away on a cruise. Neither did they board a jet or an aircraft. They were taken away in flight to another planet, or to a safer place on this planet. When they were taken away, both the body and soul were taken away, and taken to hell and drowned. For 40 days and 40 nights, this planet was covered with water. But then a promise was made after the flood that my Father will not destroy this planet again with water. And that's why we see a rainbow in some parts of the planet. When after it rains, the sun comes up. There's a rainbow. That rainbow signifies a covenant that my Father made with this planet, that he will not destroy it again with water. But what you cannot see beyond the rainbow is fire. Laser beams coming from spacecrafts that are on their way. Some are already here.
Good.
Because the next destruction of this planet, not the entire planet, just the people on it, is going to be by fire and pillars of smoke, laser beams. A perfect example of this would be in a movie that Hollywood made starring Tom Cruise. It's called War of the Worlds.
Good.
If you look at that movie, you find it in archives or on Redbox or wherever you can find it, on Netflix, YouTube. Look at that movie. And in the beginning of that movie, you're going to see some kind of animated spacecraft. Our spacecraft do not look like that. That's just an idea of Steven Spielberg. His idea that he wants to give the people a place in their minds is our spaceships have legs on them, like crabs. And our spacecrafts could be found in description in Ezekiel chapter 1. Most of them, some are not in Ezekiel. A lot are not in Ezekiel chapter 1. But they don't have crab legs, but they do have laser beams that come out of them. And when that laser beam light hits that body, it disappears, it goes away. You can ask the U.S. government, they found one of our spacecraft that we left for them in 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico. They have it, they still have it in their possession. They made a movie of it. It's called Hangar 18, among other movies they made. And when they found that aircraft, that spacecraft in 1947, the first week of July in 1947, when they went inside the spaceship, our spaceship, they found two angels up in the cockpit, behind the control board, sitting in front of the control boards. And those two angels were black, jet black in skin complexion, with woolly hair and beards, wearing black spacesuits. Now what Hollywood did when they made the movie was they gave you the complete opposite. They gave you two bald-headed white fellas from Europe with funny-looking eyes to make you think that they're aliens from outer space. And yet the only aliens in existence are those that we left here on this planet. But they also found spacecraft, a spaceship. They showed you in the movie, they found a female alien that we left here and we did experiments on. That came from Genesis chapter 1 in the beginning. Mankind and womankind. Yeah. Even Lucy. So we thought we would bring that to your attention as we get started now in this video, that the world is coming to an end. It's no way to escape it. And you can look forward to your Sunday football if you want to. You can look forward to your cousin's wedding this Saturday, a baby shower tomorrow, or a baby in the shower tomorrow. It's rain. That's not going to stop prophecy from being fulfilled.
Right.
This world is coming to its end. But at that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. So you can continue to marry and give in marriage, drink and party, do all your good stuff that you like to do. Your happy hour, your hours of happiness. Buy one and get one free, or get two and get three free. Go ahead and continue. But we're warning you. Just as my father warned you in lesson number 5, he kept warning you that the end is near. In lesson number 5, our tradition, the world's best kept secret, the end is even nearer now, because that recording was made back in the 90s. He made that recording back in the 90s. And even then he was saying the end is near. Now how much nearer could it be today in the 2021? 20 years later. Anyway, you read Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 32. Why do you want to die, Israel? Judah, why do you want to die? Some of these camps follow these false shepherds and want to be whoever they're not. They want to be who they can never be and refuse to be who they are. And yet they're leading my people, my women and children, dressing them up in white with head wraps on and robes, and having what they think is a gathering, following the law, and yet they're not following the law. Not realizing the law is a man. He's called Shiloh in the Bible. They have no idea that they're breaking the law by following something else. It's not the law. And again, in chapter 49, in verse 10, it says Shiloh will be here gathering the people. So where all these Shilohs coming from today? And then taking photographs of themselves and posting them on timeline on Facebook as if they're doing something and showing off. And that's exactly what they're doing. They are showing off. They're showing all off of what they're going to lose. Their life. Their lives. They have my innocent people, my innocent women and children follow them to lose their lives. Instead of coming to the place where Yodewafi chose to place his name in that city for a reason. And that city, by prophecy, prophetical, is the safest city on the planet. In so much until hurricanes, what they call hurricanes, whirlwinds, refuse to come this way. Why? Because someone sits in a city that has the power to make them turn away. That's fulfilled in Revelation chapter 11, verse 6. Absolutely. Read Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 32, please. Read, start at verse 31. Read verses 31 and 32, please. Out loud.
Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 31, quote, cast away from you all your transgressions.
How much?
All.
They cannot do that. It's simple. Just cast it away. Not some, all your transgressions. And what?
Whereby ye have transgressed, and make you a new heart.
How many or what? You mean my people have the power to make themselves a new heart? And what else?
And a new spirit.
And a new spirit, and leave that old spirit, that old crap alone, and leave it. Just leave it. Change your heart for what you're doing now that you think you love. It's lust. Change it. And come to the love, the heart of Yodewafi, your Father, Yodewafi. Change your spirit from what you want to follow as another spirit of someone else's spirit, and come back to the spirit and renew the spirit in your mind, and circumcise your heart and your mind to be renewed with Yodewafi. Tonight at sundown, you have a chance to do that. It's called a Day of Atonement. Come at one with your Yodewafi. At one, and met at one met. Read on, please. What else it says?
For why will ye die, O house of Israel?
Why? It's a question. Why would you die? You're going to die. You think your Father wants you to die? See, he does not want you to die. That's why verse 31 says that, to follow verse 30, the first 32 follows for 31. Why? 32 follows what it says.
For I have no pleasure in the death of
You
him.
want to die, but your own Father, your God, has no pleasure in him that wants to die. Some are suicidal. Some say, well, I'll just take my life and take my family too. He has no pleasure in that. That's ignorant. That's foolishness. But yet you want to walk around waiting on death. But that's what they're doing. There's a reason why he had me come on doing this again today. Speaking of the heart that he has with children, the love that he has with people. And here I am. I can find other things I'd like to do. But I cannot do what I like to do. Why? Because I'm under his due. I'm under his commandment. I have to do what he says do. I follow his will and continue to do his will as he was doing his will before he ascended up in heaven on May 7, 2007. And the only one. The only one. You think they appreciate it? You're going to see how much they appreciate it after this video is recorded and how many comments, the kind of comments I receive on it, or how much they appreciate it. But if they don't receive information in their minds after this video, if they don't grab hold to it, there's no hope. There will be absolutely no hope for my people if they ignore and do not adhere to this video. What else it says?
For I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth,
So what?
said the Lord God Yod-Heh-Wav.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore, turn yourselves
Turn
and live ye.
and live ye. That's the bottom of the PowerPoint. Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 32. Live. Go to the next slide, please. Keep pressing. You're gonna see. You gotta keep pressing till you see. Okay. This message that you see here in the form of a PowerPoint presentation was created, designed, and is intended for the wise children of Yahweh, as he is known in the English's idiom or tongue. You got it? Reference Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1. Want to read that, please? You are the children of Yahweh, your God. Read it, please. Yahweh, read it.
Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1, quote,
Mm-hmm.
Ye are the children of the Lord your God, Yod-Heh-Wav. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead.
Now, what we're going to do, and what I'm going to ask our reader to do, who's an angel of the Zephyr, as prophesied that you would hear in Revelation, the voice of an angel. I'm going to ask him to read verbatim for a reason. This PowerPoint was created into precepts. That means the precepts, line upon line upon line, here a little, there a little, right? It's got to come into the minds of the people who see it to adhere to it in order, decently and in order, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. You got it? Okay, so read verbatim so that the word and the wisdom and the knowledge gets inside of their souls and minds, and they must renew the spirit of to get it into their skulls of salvation, where their souls lie.
Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1,
Mm-hmm.
quote, Ye are the children of the Lord your God. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. Unquote.
Great. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
See, that way, those who are reading it for the first time can read along in their Bibles because it's been be new to them, the knowledge. Okay, next. This message is also for Negro slaves who are in chains. That's who the children of Yahweh are. The children of Yahweh, the children of God of the Bible, are the same ones that were called Negro slaves who were in chains. The children of Yahweh are also the so-called African Americans, the people, the black people, the descendants of the so-called Negro slaves that were brought to this land called, quote, the United States of America, end quote, and placed in bondage that began in the 16th century. Now, your reference for this, and we're not going to read everything for you. We give you this as your assignment to read on your own, in your own comfort of your home, or wherever your dwelling structure may be. Now, your reference of proof for this is found in the book called Acts chapter 7, verse 6, Jeremiah chapter 13, verse 19, and Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2. And when you read those three verses, you're going to find out that Acts 7:6 prophesied that a so-called group of people, the seed of Abraham, the seed of Yodavavre, the seed of God, will be taken to a land as strangers in bondage that's not theirs, and will serve them for 400 years, treated evil. Jeremiah 13:19 prophesied that the whole tribe of Judah shall be carried away captive, all of it, wholly carried away captive. And then the next chapter, in verse 2, 14:2, describes what Judah looks like as being a black-skinned complexion people, from the head to the ground, blackened to the ground. And that's a picture what they look like here on this slide. Is also recorded for the record that the children of Yahweh has a nationality. They were transported by slave ships and then placed in bondage in the land. And they're all from the fourth tribe. They're all of the fourth tribe of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, that are world renowned today in England, and especially the UK and England, and the United States, as I quote, the tribe of Judah, end quote, with the J. Your reference for this, the book called Genesis in chapter 49, verses 1 through 28, that describes all 12 sons of Jacob, Israel, that became the 12 tribes in verse 28. And Deuteronomy chapter 28, beginning at verse 41 to verse 68, read of the punishment and the results of what happened to Judah as he disobeyed the commandments, the judgments, the statutes, and laws of Yahweh, their God. And that there's another photo image of what they look like on slave ships coming over. Although it's a sketch, animated, that's exactly what they look like in reality. Next slide, please. So some of our people are so hard-headed, in so much until you don't realize that this message is also being relayed to the stubborn and rebellious children of Yahweh that continues to ignore reality and insist on worshiping an appellation as the ineffable name of the God of the Hebrews, quote unquote, an appellation. Reference the book called Psalms chapter 78 and verses 1 through 8, and that reads, verse 1, give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. Verse 2, I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Next slide. Showing to the generation to come the praises of the Lord Yahweh and his strength and his wonderful works that he hath done. Verse 5. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel. Not laws, a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children. That the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God Yahweh, and not forget the works of God Yahweh, but keep his commandments. Verse 8, and might not be as their fathers, stubborn, rebellious generation. Did it say a stubborn, rebellious generation? I didn't make that up. A generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God Yahweh. End quote. And you can read the rest of that from verses 9 to 72 on your own. But that's the proof. A stubborn and rebellious people. That's Judah. Next slide, please. In 1979, Moses Israel came to Miami, Florida. Yahweh came. When he came as Moses Israel, he arrived to Miami, Florida, incognito in 1979. Some weren't even born yet. Many were not born. Many who are here today were not born yet. 1979. Most was not born until after 1985. Plenty were not born before 1985 and between 1979. But the majority were born after 1990. They're here today. After 1985. See, therefore, they don't know how he came. All they know is worshiping in Appalachian. Call on the name in Appalachian, the God of the Hebrews. I was there in 1979 when he came in. He came as Moses Israel. And when he came, we began having Wednesday night Bible classes. Wednesday night. Held in Miami, Florida, in Brownsville. And every Saturday, every Wednesday night, and every Saturday, we hold our Shabbat. Wednesday night Bible classes and Saturday Shabbats. And we held them in a community center in a building that was located in a Miami suburb called, I quote, Brownsville, end quote. And here we sit right now in this house in the very same suburb of Miami today. Suburb, Brownsville. This photo that you see here on the screen to the left is of the very same suburb where that community center was located on Northwest 50th Street and 30th Avenue of Brownsville. And I was there in that building. Not every Wednesday, but I was there every Shabbat. My employment at the time led me to a shift that was from 3 to 11. But only Sundays and Mondays off, but I sure made it there on Saturdays. We that were the first in his holy presence addressed him as, and I quote, Ak Moshe. In Hebrew, Ak Moshe. Interpreted as, I quote, Brother Moses in English. Ak Moshe is Hebrew, Brother Moses in English. And that's all we knew. That's all we knew. Why? Because he was incognito. Incognito. They don't know what incognito is. What is incognito? Incognito. According to our dictionary, I took off dictionary.com on the website, online computer software. Incognito is defined in part as, number one, quote, of a person having one's true identity concealed. And number two, in a way that conceals one's true identity, end quote. So in other words, Yahweh came to us incognito as Moses Israel in 1979, having his true identity concealed from us, not wanting us to know at that time who he was and who he is. The name, sacred name, the name that is not to be spoken, ineffable name of the God of Hebrews, his name is Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. That's 3 Hebrew characters, 3. One of the 3 is positioned twice, and they are from right to left. Again, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. No Wav. I'm the only one who came after my Av ascended in 2007 and corrected the 6th Hebrew alphabet, the 3rd of his name, and of my name. Wow. The 6th of my name, of 7. Wow. Wow with Beth. No V. There was no V. There's no V in Hebrew or English before the 17th century. So where did V come from? Half of the W. Half of the Wav. They cut it in half and left them with only V. That means my people only had half the truth. The other half was for the Europeans. That's why they gave him a white Jesus. The other half of the race. Although his name, Yodewafe, was translated into English to become world renowned today as, I quote, Yahweh, end quote. Yahweh, in English. However, Yodewafe, Yahweh, Yodewafe is not the God of England. She is. Liz, that's the Queen of England. And our God, Yodewafe, he's black. The God of Hebrews is black in skin complexion. And you can confirm that on your own. You can read Daniel chapter 7, verse 9, and you'll see that he has hair of pure wool. Again, I repeat, take your notes. Daniel chapter 7, verse 9, hair of pure wool. And in the book called Revelation, at the end, you'll see that in chapter 22, verse 16, even the one they called Jesus said that he is root and offspring of David. And when you go to Proverbs chapter 1, verse 1, you see that Solomon said he's the son of David, king of Israel. And then you look at the book called Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5, Solomon says himself, personal pronoun, I am black, but comely. Job, another prophet, so-called prophet of the Old Testament, in chapter 30, verse 30 of that book says, my skin is black. Yirmiyahu, also as Jeremiah, he was hurt for the daughter of his people. In chapter 8, verse 21, he said, I am black. Do I have to remind you that I am black? And even in Ecclesiastes, it was this visage is blacker than a coal. Chapter 8. It's there. Study it on your own. Meanwhile, that's not our God.
Okay.
Neither do we serve or worship a female. We do not practice religion. And neither do we serve any other God except our own. Yodewafe, Yahweh. Now that you know Yodewafe, Yahweh. Nevertheless, in 1981, 2 years after he arrived in Miami, Yodewafe, then Moses Israel, revealed to us to begin calling him, and I quote, Yahshua, our Messiah, end quote. Another appellation. Moreover, about 3 weeks later, 3 weeks, in 1981, Yahshua, our Messiah, quote unquote, commanded us to start calling him again, I quote, Yahshua the Messiah, end quote. Not just our Messiah. Why? Because others would come up saying that they're the Messiah. So he told us to start saying the Messiah, and we did. I was there. And the incognito went on and on and on, incognito. A few months after that, in 1982, Yahshua, the Messiah, then commanded us to start calling him, I quote, Yahweh, our Messiah, end quote. At that time, I was in Jacksonville, Florida, as an elder. A few weeks after that, in 1982, Yahweh, our Messiah, quote unquote, commanded us that were there, all those that were there, that we are to start addressing him as, I quote, Yahweh, the Messiah, end quote. I was there, and I was in another city then. And finally, the incognito continued. For lo and behold, in 1983, quote, Yahweh, the Messiah, end quote, took on the appellation that is known today, world renowned today as, I quote, from right to left, Yodewafe, Beth Nusofre, Yodewafe, Hebrew. In English, interpreted, Yahweh, actually translated in English, Yahweh ben Yahweh. And that means, the interpretation means, I quote, God, the Father, space, the Son of, space, God the Father, end quote. That's what that interpretation is. God the Son of God. That makes sense, for a reason. Anyway, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, now Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Beth Lucifer, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yahweh introduced and proclaimed himself during a Time Life interview in 1986. He introduced himself and proclaimed himself to those people in that room, the media, as I quote, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yahweh, end quote. And as I quote, John the Baptist, end quote, in that very same interview. That means Beth Lucifer Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, from right to left, Beth Lucifer Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, which is interpreted as the Son of Yahweh, will never take credit or pretend to be the Father. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
I repeat, I better say that again. Beth Lucifer Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Beth Lucifer Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, the Son of Yahweh, will never take credit or pretend to be the Father. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. Never. That's ludicrous. So, what verse is that? That book says, see, this is proven in Mark chapter 10, verse 17 and 18. So, take a look at that. I want you to read that.
Mark chapter 10, verses 17 and 18, quote,
Mm-hmm.
And when he was gone forth into the way, there came one running and kneeled to him and asked him,
What?
Good master.
They call him good master. This is the Christ. What?
What shall I do that I may inherit eternal life?
That question should be asked by everyone today who's of Judah, this country. But they don't need to ask that because why? They're stubborn rebellions. They feel they don't need to ask that. They feel they already know. They already know. I don't need to know, ask a question. All I have to do is wear a robe, white robe, and a headband, white headband, and call on Yahweh, and wear Yahweh around my T-shirt in a circle, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and I got eternal life. In fact, I know I'm one of the 144,000. I already know that. All I have to do is wait till he comes back for us. He's coming back. He's not going to leave us like this. He can't leave us like that. May 7th, 2007. Besides, nobody else coming anyway. We might as well wait. There's nobody else coming. Besides, he's wearing the chambers. He's in the desert in the secret chambers anyway. Yeah, the Obama administration put him there in Colorado. That's why we're going to vote for Trump to set him free.
Good.
And they had 4 years, and that still hadn't happened. So here they are looking for the Biden to set him free. The same administration that put him in there. It being that Biden was with Obama, same administration. So there's no need for me to look for inherit eternal life. I got it, eternal life. Verse 18, please.
And Jesus said unto him,
What?
Why callest thou me good?
See? See what he said? Why are you calling me good? What?
There is none good but one.
How many?
One.
And who's that?
That is
Who?
God.
Right.
Yahweh.
Yahweh. One. He never take credit or pretend to be the Father. And if they try and throw it on him, you say, "Oh Lord, wait, don't you hold on now." No, don't make that mistake. Back up. I am not greater than my Father. I do as my Father say do. And I go where he say go. Right? And I stop when he say stop. And I kneel when he say kneel, right in front of him. See, Moses said in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4, what? What did he say?
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one.
See?
One Lord.
See? One. The Lord our God is one Lord. So that also means that his name is how many?
One.
But in these last days, there will be some that will continue to do what? Insist that the Father or our Lord's name is doubled.
Mm.
As in what? Quote, Yahweh ben Yahweh, end quote. See, those are hard-headed. They're hard-headed, and those that are also headed for the former seed.
Mm.
It's proven right here. In Zechariah chapter 14, verse 8 and 9. Read that, please.
Zechariah chapter 14, verse 8 and 9, quote, "And it shall be in that day
Mm-hmm.
that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem."
See, they don't know what that means. They don't study. Right away, they're thinking of H2O. But I would like to know, how does water H2O lives? How could something live that drowns people and kill them? How can a chemical substance, H2O, that drowns people and kill them, live? Not realizing that those waters are people in symbolic allegory. They will go do what? Go out from Jerusalem and do what? Have what?
Half of them toward the former sea.
See? Going toward the former sea. And that's where they're headed. And what?
And half of them toward the hinder sea.
That's where they're going. Read on. And what?
In summer and in winter shall it be.
Now we are at the end of summer. We are at the end of summer, going into the fall. Here come winter, and they're going to do the same thing. It's prophetical. There it is right there. That's coming out from Jerusalem. They go out from Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is not a place. Verse 9.
And the Lord Yahweh shall be king over all the earth.
No, only some of it.
All the earth.
All of it?
All the
So I
earth.
wonder where they're going to be, because I'm reading here that it says the Lord Yahweh. So where are they going to be? And what day?
In that day shall there be one Lord.
And you are, again, saying one. So one Lord with two names, a double name, right? One Lord with a double name. One Lord with a double name. Yahweh ben Yahweh, right? No? What's the rest of it says?
And his name one.
One.
Unquote.
See now, if they have a problem with me, it's not me. If they do not like the truth, it's not me that they do not like. It's what? The Word.
Right.
It's the Bible. If they have an argument, the argument is not with me. The argument is with the Word, the Bible. That's where the controversy is, of the land. Why? Because there's no truth or mercy, no knowledge of Yahweh in the land.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? See, remember this. See, you may not have known this, but in 1992, while incarcerated, Yahweh, Yahweh, began his library of books. And what you see here on this PowerPoint to the left, this is one of those books, many books that you see on the left of the monitor. And this was started, the one that started the library, however, is titled The Introduction of Hebrew, the Language of God, Yahweh. This one is called The Removal of Wall, the Divine Mark of Protection. So this is one of several books. And those that was available at the time, I read all of them. I ordered and read all of them that were available at the time, every one of them. And if you look at some videos I have in the back of me, you'll see them at the library, my library. All of them I read. Now this one, if you notice on this book, notice a large space between his pen signature. You see it? He did that on purpose. You have Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh from right to left, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh in a large space. Beit Musaf in a large space, and then Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh at the end. You see it? That's his pen signature for a reason. What's the reason? See, that means Yahweh, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, the Father, is also included in all of his books of testimony, Beit Musaf, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, the Son of Yahweh. So when he wrote, and when you read the book, he wrote for both himself and his son. That's why you're reading some books that said your only salvation is to come to Yahweh ben Yahweh. Come to Yahweh Wafe, Beth Lucifer, Yahweh Wafe. That means do what? Come to Yahweh Wafe and come to Beth Lucifer, Yahweh Wafe. But they couldn't read that like that. They took that as the name of the Father. That's why they get on social media and say, I don't know what you're talking about, Mika. But read this. They sometimes have the nerve to post it, cut it and paste it and show it to me in my face, on my Facebook. See, here's the proof. Yahweh said, there is no other except Yahweh, Beth Lucifer, Yahweh. And I totally agree, because there is no other. You just don't know how to read it. You didn't know what it meant. Keep reading. Go to the next slide. You're going to find out in a moment. See, in other words, Yahweh, the Father, was fulfilling in all his books of testimony, bearing witness of himself, and at the same time, he was bearing witness of his Son, Beth Lucifer, Yahweh, the Son of Yahweh. How's that proven? That's in 1 John chapter 5. Go to that. Read that, please. 1 John chapter 5, beginning at verse 7. Read that, please. That's the proof.
1 John chapter 5, verse 7, quote, For there are three that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost. And these three are one.
How many?
One.
Exactly. But you don't know which one. So that's one in verse 7. But which one would that be? That's the Father. Right, because he's bear record in heaven. Who he's bear record in heaven? See, that first one is Yahweh. You got it? Yeah. Now, you look at verse 8 and you're going to come across Beth Lucifer, Yahweh. Read and see.
Verse 8, quote, And there are three.
That's proof right there. What's proof? A and D.
Right.
That A and D is the same as Beth Lucifer in Hebrew. That A and D is the same as Beth Lucifer in Hebrew. That joins something together with a conjunction. They're what?
There are three that bear witness in earth.
See, the Father's in heaven and the Son is on earth. Let thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. The what?
The Spirit.
The Spirit of Yahweh.
And
what?
And the water.
The water is mem.
And the blood.
And the blood is O negative from the garden. And those three are what?
One.
Those three agree in
one.
one. Agree in one. What degree? 360 degree. Agree. Now, again, you come to verse 9. Now, see, verse 9 makes it complete. Verse 8 is the double zero that joins them together. The double zero, that's why it's 8. 7 makes it perfected.
Okay.
It starts out with perfection of Yahweh. Now, you have the completion of verse 9. And here's the completion of verse 9. It says what?
If we receive the witness of men, the witness of God, Yahweh, is greater.
Why?
For this is the witness of God, Yahweh, which he hath testified of his Son.
Praise the Lord.
Praise Yahweh.
Quote unquote. And that's what the books were all of. Though the truth is, what? His thesis, his proclamation, which was read in that book at the beginning. At the beginning of all of his books was you'd find his proclamation, also known as the thesis or proclamation, whichever you prefer. And read what it says. I'm going to read what it says. As you read along with us on the screen, it says, quote, Shalom Aleichem, period. I am the Grand Master of the Celestial Lodge, comma, Architect of the universe, comma, the blessed and only potentate, comma, and I am the founder of the nation of Yahweh, comma, true holiness and righteousness, comma, the kingdom of Shalom, comma, which is the most powerful knowledge of peace in existence, end quote. That's what he have in all of his books. That means what? The appellation that he used, as I quote again, from right to left, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, space, big space, Beth Lucifer, big space, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, end quote, is not found under that photo image in none of his books. It's not found. It's just not found. It's not there. But what is found is what? The word architect. Architect is there, but many don't know what an architect is. Many have read, they didn't read it. Some read, got the book, they didn't read the first page of this photo. They didn't even read it. Still haven't read it. If they read it, they didn't see it. If they saw it and read it, if they read it and saw it, they didn't look at it. They didn't look into it or study it. If they studied it, then they would have studied the word architect. Not realizing the same dictionary we used, that an architect is defined in most dictionaries, and the one that I used here online, computer software, dictionary.com, is, I quote, a person who designs buildings and in many cases also supervises their construction. End quote. Reference dictionary.com, online computer software. So you just read with us on a previous slide that Yahweh, Yahweh, said he's the architect of the universe, not a building, and not a house, and not a cottage, or a university school. He didn't say university, a school. He said universe of the universe that consists of 9 planets that they know of. 9. That means that according to this definition, the one whose book you have, most of you have it. On the front cover, his proclamation, he told you he's the architect of the universe. That means he drafted, he designed the universe, and didn't use any help to build it. In that case, he designed it, the universe, and then built it before life even existed. So how can he, being that, also become a creation of it after it was built? You have to shake your head at these stubborn, rebellious children. And what else? See, you must also keep in mind that the son of Yahweh, realizing these people, my people, have such vain thoughts. Beth Lucifer Yahweh, the son of Yahweh, cannot and never can be, the architect of the universe, quote unquote. Never can be. That is virtually impossible. It being that he became part of the draft of the building. Why is that impossible? Because there is no one, and there's only one. And that is why the Son said in John 10:1. Go to that. John chapter 10, verse 30 rather. He said, what was written? See, that's recorded.
He said, quote, John 10, verse 30.
I'm going to say that.
Oh, yes, sir.
Recorded in the King James Version Bible's book called John, in chapter 10 and verse 30, as I quote, I and my Father are one, quote unquote. Okay? What do you see? Can I answer the question? Look at it. What do you see? Now, some have been reading this since 1979, those who are still here around us, with us. And I bear witness that we were reading this in that same Brownsville Community Center, 1991 and 1979, until we moved in 1981. 1980, we moved into the Temple on 62nd Street, renovated the Temple, moved into the Temple, and we're still reading it. Some just read it again last night before we presented it. Some may have read it this morning in their studies. I and my Father are one. That's why I'm asking you, I'm asking ye, and why you, what do you see? Do you see it? Can you look at it? I mean, look at it. What do you see? You can't see it. You never could. Why? Because your mind is blinded until you're taking away the veil that must be done away in the Christ. Now, when the Christ comes, he's going to take the veil away from your mind so you can see it. And he's going to introduce it to you on the next slide. that you never saw before. So get ready. Hold on and turn to the next slide. Hold on first. Hold on. You hold on. Hold on. Something tight. Hold on. Now go to the next slide. See, what you saw, I, sir. See, this is not the personal pronoun that's known to you in this Bible as I, E-Y-E. It's not. If it was, then during translation by the English theologians, even with the printer's keypad on his printing press of England, it would have been printed with a lowercase I. But since both the English and the Greeks had part of this, the Greeks took over. At this point, as Martin Luther did from the Germans, see, Martin Luther, the monk, he got translated from the German from the Greeks. And then they came along after Martin Luther, the English theologians, they left it like that as one. You think it's I, but it's one. Go to the next slide and see. That means in reality, this I English print is truly the Roman numeral for one. For one. So what was being said by the Christ in English translation is this: one and my Father are one. What? Did you see there's only one? There's only one. You think it's I. That's Roman numeral one and my Father are one. He's giving credit to the Father. Why would he give credit to himself? He would never do that. Putting himself equal with the Father. Are you out of your mind? Read it. Go to the next slide and see. See? The Son of God would never consider or proclaim himself to be equal with his Father. And neither will Yudawave, the Father, give his glory to another. Especially his Son. Or even as much as he loved his Son, he would not do that. Now this truth is found in Isaiah chapter 42. Right? And verse 8. Turn to that, please. Go to that next slide. See, here's what it says. Read that, please.
Isaiah chapter 42, verse 8, quote, I am the Lord, Yahweh. That is my name.
See? That means Lord is not a name. By now, you should know the name. You know Lord is not a name. It's a name. Do you see an S at the end of name, at the E?
Whatsoever.
And what? And what else he said?
And my glory will I not give to another.
You read that wrong. He said, I will give to one more. And my glory I'll give to one more, my Son.
Will I not give to another?
What? Neither what?
My praise to graven images.
That's where all these graven images come from today. For his praise. Because you're supposed to praise him, not praise graven images. But the emphasis that we're making here is one God. One, and my Father are one. In his name, one. Wow, they're so hard-headed. Stubborn, stiff-necked, and rebellious. And they're going to continue to do it after this video. They cannot help it. That's their souls, the same souls that were here over 2,024 years ago are here again today. That very same souls. The same ones that mocked the Son, the Christ back then, and threw stones at him, picked up rocks and threw at him as he ran out of Jerusalem. Not this time they won't. Next slide, please. See, what you have to realize, you're going to go down to, this is, keep this in mind, you know, which was also in the Christ, you know, read, go to chapter 5 for a moment. Where is that? What verse we were reading just now? Okay. Let's see, where is that located? That's it. I believe it's going to be Mark. I believe it's going to be Mark chapter 10, I believe it is going to be. Let's see what's there. Oh, no, that's Philippians. Go to Philippians chapter 2. Yeah, go to Philippians chapter 2. Philippians. And start at verse, that says 5?
Yes.
Start at verse 5.
Philippians chapter.
Because the subject is the name. Philippians chapter
Philippians chapter 2,
verse 5.
verse 5, quote, "Let this mind be in you."
See the mind that we spoke of earlier? The new mind? So let this mind be in you. That what?
Which was also in Christ Jesus,
Yeah, that what?
who, being in the form of God,
Being in the what?
form of
The
God,
form of God. That means God is also in the form of man. The same man that we showed you a photo of earlier in his books. That what?
thought it not robbery to be equal with God.
Do you see what you're reading? Why would he say, I and my Father are one? Because you didn't know. You're reading I, when yet is one. This proves here that he was not one with his Father. Who being in the form of God, thought it robbery to be equal with God, with Yahweh. Thought it not robbery, right?
Right.
But what?
But made himself of no reputation,
And what?
and took upon him the form of a servant,
And was what?
and was made in the likeness of men.
Goodness gracious. Next slide. Read on.
And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself,
Humbled himself. And
be-
did what?
and became obedient unto death,
Unto the death back then of what?
even the death of the cross.
Yes, of the tree, of the cross. It crossed him up. Cross-minded. Verse 9.
Wherefore God also hath highly exalted him,
And did what?
and given him a name which is above every name.
Could they see this? That means now, see, according to what they're doing with Yahweh ben Yahweh, the name Yahweh we just read is ineffable.
Right.
Not to be spoken by no other nation or people except Israel. Right? That's why they don't say it. And yet, they're putting the Son equal with the Father's name. They're putting the Son's name equal with the Father's name as Yahweh or Yodewave. And I'm reading here in the Bible, in Philippians chapter 2 and verse 9, wherefore God also hath highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name, except one. That's why it don't mention God's name, because that's out of the question. Read verse 10, and look what they knew, look what the Jews and the Greeks and the English put there. It's erroneous. And so you don't have to read it like that. Read. But wait, no, you have to because of the PowerPoint, you have to read it that way. Because of the precept of the PowerPoint, but you can say the Greek pronunciation.
That at the name of Jesus,
No, I said the Greek for
Jesus,
Yeah.
every knee should bow, of things in heaven and things in earth and
Next.
things under the earth.
Right. Read. Go next slide. See? Now look at John chapter 5 verse 43.
John chapter 5 verse 43.
That was what?
Quote, I
That's one.
am
That's one am come in my Father's name. One. You got it? One has come in his Father's name. And what?
and ye receive me not.
Right.
If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive.
Now what do you see? This is recorded. Right? Autobiography. Right? a diary. That means back then he told them, the same soul today told them, I did not name myself. My Father named me. This is his name. I come in his name. See, they thought that this was the name Yahweh. After we just proved to you that Yahweh wouldn't give him his name. To no other, no glory, to no other, his glory. So this way they come up with Yahweh ben Yahweh, because Yahweh became a Yahweh name. And yet he said, I come in my Father's name, because they didn't understand this or comprehend it. That means Yahweh, the Father, gave his Son a name that nobody else had named, that you just read in Philippians chapter 2. Just said it. Because no one never heard of the name that the Son is carrying around today. Never heard of it. They stripped it, took it out of the archives. They burned up in the library in Alexandria. Burned up. And no one better not say it. And even as he walked through the airports with it on his mask, they see it. The Jews see it. They run. They bow. They trip over themselves. Some even come and take a double look and look at it and keep going. You bear witness. They look at the mask, don't say nothing, look at it, and then keep going. Like, damn, let me get out of here. What gate am I leaving out of? But all others create their own name. See? If this was so, we got to look at the logic of this. If this was the name Yahweh he came in, then why would they not receive him? If they're receiving Yahweh. I am coming in my Father's name, and you receive me not. That means it couldn't be Yahweh. Good gracious. Somebody help me tell this testimony.
They receive you not.
They receive me not.
No way.
I don't receive Micah.
You don't receive your face.
I receive Yahweh, but not Micah. That means the Son name could not be Yahweh.
Right. Right.
Good gracious.
Logic.
But if another shall come in his name, his own name, even timeless,
Hey. Put him out there.
huh? Junebug, peanut butter ben Yahweh. Where they come with these names? Transmission ben Yahweh. Huh? I mean, good gracious. Willie, yeah, Willie. Raisinette. Raisinette Israel. Wow, I love Raisinettes. What's your name? Raisinette. Will you have Bible study, brother? I'm going to come see you. You have conference line? What's your number? I'm going to join you. I like that name. Raisinette. I haven't heard that. Israel. What is wrong with my people? What happened to them? Him you will receive.
Yeah.
So, with that read, the question is still now answered. Not answered. It's not answered. It's not answered. Or is it answered? Is it now or not? Turn to Proverbs chapter 30. Look at Proverbs chapter 30, verse 4. Here's the question. There's several questions, but the question to attention is what? Read it.
Who have ascended up into
Who
heaven?
hath? Who hath ascended?
Okay. Who hath ascended up into heaven? Or descended?
Mm-hmm.
Who hath gathered the wind in his fist? Who hath bound the waters in a garment?
What they did was they put a question mark there on the English pronunciation and punctuation marks. And yet, all those so far is the answer. Who? Every place where you see who that you read now is the answer. You're not going to get to the question until you get to what? Read and see.
Who hath established all the ends of the earth?
See, the person who did this was not the architect. The architect had already drew all this up and built it. Then someone came along and descended from heaven, ascended and descended, gather the wind in his fists. The wind, cause what? The wind was already made, and the waters was also in the garment, and all the ends of the earth were already established. But the question is, what? What?
What is his name?
What is his name? And what?
And what is his son's name? If thou canst tell.
If there were two different, if it was the same name, it would be two questions.
Yeah, as simple as that. Why is that?
It's simple.
Yeah, that is simple.
If it was the same name, there would not be two questions. There'd be one question. What is his name? Right? Period.
Period.
Because then they refer back to John 5:43, I'm coming in my Father's name. So it's the same name. And yet we have, and what is his son's name? And the most important word in that last sentence is if. And I still can't tell. Next slide. Why is this so important? See, why is knowing the name of Yehovah, Beth Nosophi Yehovah, interpreted as the Son of Yahweh, why is that so important? It's important, but why? Look at Acts chapter 2, verse 21. Read that, please.
Acts chapter 2, verse 21, quote, and it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved.
Right.
Unquote.
That means what? All others will not be saved. But what can happen to them? See, they will become a victim of Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 8. That's what's going to happen to them. Those who don't call the name, even Joel 2:32 says the same thing. This comes from Joel chapter 2, verse 32. So they're going to fall victim. Those who don't call the name, they're going to continue to call on Yahweh ben Yahweh in English. And he will not hear them. We just read that in Jeremiah someplace. Ezekiel, I will not hear them. They'll call, I will not hear them. Even Isaiah, I will not hear them. Go to the next slide, please. And what? That's Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8. It says what?
And it shall come to pass.
It shall.
And it shall come to pass.
That what?
That in all the land.
Now you have to know what land that is. So who?
Saith the Lord Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh.
Right.
Two parts therein shall be cut off and die.
Good gracious.
But the third shall be left therein.
Why? Because they're going to call the name of the Son, Yehovah. The Son, Yehovah. That's simple. So this time, you make up your mind, answer the question. You can continue to do what you do, what you think is right in your own eyes, to fulfill Judges chapter 21, verse 25. Read that. Go to that. Judges chapter 21 and verse 25. See, they think there's no king in Israel today. So every man is doing what he thinks is right in his own eyes. So you go ahead and continue to do that.
Judges chapter 21, verse 25.
Read it nice and loud, please.
Quote, in those days there was no king in Israel.
In those days, here we are, those days again. And what?
Every man did that which was right in his own eyes. End quote.
So go ahead and do what you think is right in your own eyes. Just don't confuse that I with one. But if you do, make sure you take that one as yourself and go by yourself. Don't take others with you. You want to commit suicide? You do that. But don't take others and little children with you to commit suicide. Your best bet, your only salvation, and I'm telling you because I'm being told to tell you this, is to come to Miami to where Yehovah placed his name here and find who it is that he left here as his son. A prophetical. That's the only way you're going to be saved. You don't have to believe that. And that's why I thank you, Mr. Torah, to those who would hear, for your attention that you gave us during this lifetime that you have today. This life-saving presentation. With that said, always remember that you're Yehovah, Yahweh, which art in heaven, who art in heaven. He loves you, he loves you, and so do I. Your servant here on this planet, on Earth, on this planet, I say, I don't care how,
I don't care how.
Okay.
and I love you.
We love you.
Praise the Lord.